Rejected, when a black cashier discovered the amazing hope behind a rich Arab's card. Tasha's heart raced as she stood behind the register, the noise of the bustling inner-city grocery store wrapping around her like a thick fog. The thrumming energy of Chicago's streets seeped into her bones, reminding her of the dreams that danced just out of reach. She smiled, revealing the warmth her son Malik brought into her life. He was 8, bright-eyed, and full of laughter. Every smile she gave felt like a sacrifice for the better future she longed to build for him, a home where bills didn't pile up like fresh groceries waiting to be checked. One fateful afternoon, as she rang up a line of customers, Tasha's gaze fell upon a man who stood out. Amir was impeccably dressed, a tailored suit that whispered of wealth. But confusion flickered in his deep-set eyes, casting a shadow of uncertainty. Her mind raced with judgment. How could he look so put together yet be here, like everyone else, clinging to something like hope? When the man fumbled for his debit card, Tasha felt her patience deflate. He slid the card across the counter, but her heart sank when the machine beeped expired. She barely concealed her irritation. Didn't he know how hard money was to come by? Her thoughts sprang to Malik and the weight of her responsibilities smashing against her like waves crashing on a rocky shore. "I'm sorry, sir. This card is invalid," she said, forcing her mouth to stay polite despite the anger boiling within. Amir frowned and tried explaining, his voice shaky yet filled with unyielding conviction. "I own a small business, an entrepreneurial dream gone wrong," he confessed. "Just need a moment." Tasha's frustration bubbled over. Didn't he understand the struggles people like her faced? Their worlds felt miles apart, every societal stereotype and bias rising in her throat like bile. She shook her head, her lips pressed tight. "I can't help you," she said, masking the vulnerability behind her refusal. Before Tasha knew it, a shared silence lingered between them, heavy with unspoken frustrations. He told her of his past, dreams brought to their knees by harsh reality, a business now crumbling, and yet there was a desperate plea for understanding. Tasha felt a twist in her chest. Was she wrong to judge so quickly, to see only the suit and not the man? "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Days passed, and a flyer for a community fundraising event caught her eye. The stakes were high. Malik's beloved youth center needed saving. To her surprise, Amir's name was on it too. She felt the tension coil in her stomach as they crossed paths again, this time with a shared purpose. Working together pushed the limits of her indifference. They fought to get support, attending late-night meetings that transformed them from strangers to reluctant allies, yet, chaos erupted just days before the event. Unexpected setbacks dashed hopes as she stared at bills that seemed to multiply with every financial struggle. And in that moment, standing once again in the grocery store, she reached a tipping point when a shocking revelation about Amir surfaced. Would the growing connection they shared overcome the heavy burden of misunderstandings? Would she finally peel back the layers of her preconceived notions? Tasha's heart raced with uncertainty, leading to a crossroads of choice and reflection, their destinies lingering in the balance. With the event just days away and pressure mounting, Tasha's mind swirled with doubt. She hadn't fully grasped Amir's predicament until now. The bankruptcy looming over his small business weighed heavy on her heart. Life in the city felt unforgiving, a maze of circumstances that twisted their stories together in unexpected ways. As she closed up her register for the day, Tasha spotted Amir pacing outside, his phone clutched tightly in his hand. He looked lost, like a man trying to navigate a storm without a compass. She hesitated, feeling the pull of empathy juxtaposed against her old biases. Swallowing her pride, she approached him. "Hey, Amir," she said tentatively, unsure of what warmth her words could offer. He looked up, eyebrows furrowing as the tension softened slightly in his features. Tasha. I didn't expect to see you here. We need to talk about the fundraiser, she began, her voice steadier than her insides felt. I want to help. His relief was palpable, dripping from his smile. You have no idea how much it means to me. I thought it was all falling apart. Tasha furrowed her brow. What do you mean? What's happening? He took a deep breath, and with it the weight of his worries tumbled out. I lost my supplier. Couldn't fulfill the order we planned for the event. If we don't find a way to make it work, the youth center might close for good. I can't let that happen. Her heart tightened. The youth center was a lifeline for so many kids in the community, including Malik. The thought of that place disappearing felt like a punch in the gut. Yet, they stood facing an insurmountable wall. What if we crowdsource? Tasha blurted. Maybe we can reach out online, to people who care. If our messages resonate, who knows? This sparked an idea, an ember of hope igniting from the ashes of despair. Amir's eyes lit up, a flicker of belief transforming his face. That could actually work. We could rally everyone we know. They spent the evening brainstorming and crafting heartfelt messages about the youth center's significance, pouring their passion into every post. As they typed, Tasha felt a camaraderie grow between them, his laughter spilled into the air, lightening her heart. Their hands grazed over the keyboard, a soft electricity charged the space. But as night fell, doubt crept back in, twisting at her thoughts. What if no one cared? What if they failed? They were both fighting so many battles, and the weight of their burdens felt unbearable. Amir, Tasha started, biting her lip, her voice wavering. What happens if this doesn't work? I can't bear to let Malik down. He turned to her, sincerity radiating from his gaze. What if we see this through together? We can't predict the outcome, but we can choose to fight. Together. His words stirred something deep within her. It felt like a small flame had been lit, a whisper that perhaps, just perhaps, hope was not as elusive as she believed. As they crafted their final message, a notification pinged on Amir's phone. He glanced down, his expression shifting from determination to shock. It's my old supplier. They're offering to help. Her breath caught, excitement rising. That's amazing. Maybe we really can make this happen. But then, as she let herself dream of a cheerful outcome, a thought slammed down on her. What if Amir's hopes were tied to something she couldn't brave, something she hadn't yet understood? Just then, Amir turned to her, his smile melting into something serious. Tasha, there's something I need to tell you about my business. About me. A sudden unease washed over her. What revelation loomed beneath his words? Would this change everything? They stood on the brink of a revelation, their lives intertwined, about to dive deeper into the mystery and possibility that lay before them. Would this confession bridge the gaps built by their judgments, or would it drive them further apart? Tasha's heart raced as Amir's serious tone hung in the air between them, heavy with unspoken truths. She could see his lips tighten, the weight of his thoughts making him hesitate. What is it, Amir? She pressed gently. You can tell me anything. He took a step back, as if physically distancing himself from the words that were about to escape. It's about how I started this business and what it really means to me. A flicker of vulnerability darted across his face. Tasha knew this moment was pivotal. She could feel the storm of emotions swirling around them, fear, hope, and a hint of something deeper. Before the youth center opened, I was lost. I didn't grow up with a lot. I hustled, did what I had to do to survive. I thought if I opened this shop, I could finally create something meaningful. His voice trembled, revealing the layers of a man built on determination yet burdened by struggle. But I'm not only fighting for myself anymore. I'm fighting for the kids. They need this space. Tasha's throat tightened. Amir, I admire that so much. You've done all this for them, he nodded, his eyes flickering with emotion. But the truth is, I'm scared. Loss is unbearable. If I let the center go, I don't know what will happen to me. The air grew thick with the weight of his admission. She could feel the walls around him crumbling, and she instinctively reached out to bridge that gap. But you don't have to carry this all alone. We can work through this together. We have the fundraiser, we have hope. For a moment, they stood in strained silence, a connection deepening beyond words. Then Amir lowered his gaze. There's more. The supplier, they were going to stop working with me because I couldn't pay them back. I was sinking into a hole too deep. But now, they're back. A wave of confusion washed over Tasha. Are you saying they're helping again? That's amazing. Not exactly, he said with a heavy sigh. They want a stake in the business. Part ownership. I'll have to give up part of my dream to keep it alive. Her stomach twisted at the thought. Amir, is that really what you want? Sometimes survival comes with sacrifices. But at what cost? His anguish was palpable. I don't want to lose myself in the process. But I can't let the kids lose their home. Tasha felt tears prick her eyes as she saw him fracture under that burden. He was a fighter, yes, but she also knew that warriors needed support. She reached forward and grasped his arm, her heart aching for him. You're not just a business owner. You're their hero. We'll find another way, Amir. You said it together, we fight. His gaze met hers, and in that moment, something shifted. The flicker of fear in his eyes mingled with a glimmer of hope, and for the first time, she saw the possibility of something more profound, a bond forged in struggle and trust. Just then, Amir's phone buzzed again. He looked down and his expression turned blank. Oh no, it's a notification from the fundraising page. She held her breath as he opened the app, his fingers trembling. We've got donors, but they want an explanation. The weight of expectations crashed down on them. Tasha felt the urgency pulse through her veins. They needed a plan, and fast. What could they reveal that would inspire support? Amir's voice turned resolute. No matter what, I won't let them down. Not the kids, not you. But as Tasha squeezed his hand, ready to fight alongside him, a nagging thought echoed in her mind. Would they find the strength they needed? Or would this newfound bond be crushed under the weight of expectations and fears yet to be revealed? They faced the unknown together, each second ticking down to a crucial moment. Would their words ignite the community or tear them apart? And what sacrifices would they be willing to make as the clock ticked closer to the big event? The room was a whirlwind of emotions as Amir stared at his phone, the notifications blurring in and out as his mind raced. Tasha's grip on his hand tightened as she sensed his growing anxiety. The fate of the youth center hung in the balance, and the weight of that responsibility settled like a stone in their hearts. What do we say? Tasha asked, her voice steadier than she felt. We need to be honest, but we also need their support. Amir exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair, the worry etched deep across his forehead. I wish I could tell them it's all going to be okay, that I've got it under control. But nothing feels okay right now. Determination flickered within him, yet the edges of despair loomed too closely. Tasha took a deep breath, deciding to stand tall for both of them. Let us write an update. We can show them the truth, the struggles, the hopes. People will connect with that. He looked at her, a faint smile breaking through the cloud of uncertainty. You really think honesty will inspire them? Absolutely, she said, allowing a spark of hope to ignite. Tell them what this means to you, Amir. Share your fears, share the vision. They might want to be a part of something bigger. The thought resonated with Amir, and he nodded, his expression illuminating with newfound purpose. You're right. I've never been one to shy away from sharing my story. It's just I never imagined it would feel this overwhelming. Tasha reached for his other hand, grounding him. Together, right? Together, he repeated softly. They settled at a small table, the weight of the moment still pressing down but shifting, too. It was a liberating feeling, standing on the edge of possibility. Tasha began drafting the message, tapping her fingers against her phone as Amir spoke from his heart. Each word he shared carried the truth of his journey, the struggles of his past, and the fires of his ambition. "I want them to know I'm terrified," Amir confessed, his voice trembling slightly. "I never thought my past would come back to challenge my future like this. But I know how much the center means to the kids and to me. And you're their hero," Tasha reminded him, her eyes locking onto his. "Let that passion shine." They worked tirelessly, crafting a message that was raw and honest, revealing the fears that had haunted Amir and the dream they both shared for the youth center. With each passing moment, Tasha felt a shift. This shared vulnerability was forging not just resolve but something deeper, something she couldn't name yet. As they finished the update, Amir let out a deep breath. "It's done. Now we just send it out and hope." His voice held a mixture of relief and anxiety. "Yes, but we need to be ready for whatever comes next," Tasha said, biting her lip. "If we inspire them, we'll have their support. But, what if we don't?" Amir looked at her, and in his eyes, she saw a flicker of doubt replace the initial determination. "What if they see me as weak? What if they decide not to help at all? Then we reassess, and we keep fighting," she insisted, feeling the energy from his doubts ignite her own worries. "You've fought so hard already. You can't give up because of a little fear." Just then, Amir's phone buzzed again, this time a message from a prominent community member they had both respected for a long time. Her heart raced as he opened it. Would it contain the spark they were hoping for? Or another roadblock? Amir's expression shifted, a mix of surprise and dread. "Oh. It's a reply. They want to talk in person." Tasha's heart skipped a beat. This was it. The moment where everything could change, for better or worse. "Well, what do we do now?" she asked, eyes wide. "We go. No matter what," Amir said, resolve settling into his features. "This isn't just about me anymore. It's about everyone who believes in us." She nodded, feeling the weight of his words. Together, they could face whatever came next. But as they made plans to meet, the urgency loomed larger. What would they face in that conversation? Would their leap of faith lead them closer to hope, or would it reveal deeper wounds that had yet to heal? With the clock ticking ever closer to the fundraiser, they both knew, the outcome of this meeting could change everything for the center and for them. Would they emerge with renewed hope, or would their fears consume them? Amir and Tasha arrived at the community center just as the sun began to dip, casting a warm glow over the parking lot. Anxieties bubbled beneath the surface, the air thick with potential and uncertainty. They stepped inside, the familiar smell of polished wood and fresh paint welcoming them, but it did little to ease Amir's tightening stomach. "Look, we can do this," Tasha said softly, sensing the tension radiating from Amir. "Besides, they need to hear your voice. It's your story." The room was smaller than they'd imagined, with plain walls and a single long table occupied by a few community elders. The warmth of their welcome couldn't fully mask the cool air of scrutiny. Amir nodded, his heart pounding fiercely against his ribs. This was at the moment that could tip the scales. As they took their seats, the lead elder, Ms. Patel, offered a reassuring smile. "Thank you both for coming," she said, her voice gentle yet firm. "We all know how much the youth center means to this community. We're here to discuss your letter." Amir felt a swell of emotions. Here was the opportunity to be real. He didn't want to hide anything anymore. "I appreciate you all taking the time to meet with us," he began, then paused. "I wrote that letter from a very personal place." He looked around the table, finding support in their faces. "I want you to know that I'm scared. I always have been. I've faced challenges that felt insurmountable, and my past, it's something I'm still working through. But this center? It's become my lifeline. It gives hope to kids who need it. I needed it. He could feel the weight of their attention. Their eyes were soft, inviting him to share more. Tasha squeezed his hand beneath the table, providing silent encouragement. One elder, Mr. Lin, leaned forward. Amir, we all have our struggles. But what speaks louder than fear is your determination. You're fighting for something real, something important. Just tell us what you need. Amir hesitated, swallowing hard. We need support, not just dollars, but time, resources. Volunteers who believe in what we're doing. He paused again, searching for the right words. This isn't just about me. It's about so many kids who deserve a fighting chance. The room was charged. The elders began to nod in agreement as Amir poured out his heart. The urgency from that buzzing phone moment earlier transformed into a clarion call. This was a chance to build something unstoppable together. Ms. Patel's eyes twinkled with enthusiasm. I believe in what you're building, Amir. But we need to work together to make it sustainable. We can set up meetings with local businesses, gather resources to ensure that the center can thrive. A mix of relief and excitement surged through Amir. You would do that? Of course, another elder chimed in, but it's going to take a village. We need everyone's involvement. Tasha couldn't contain her smile. We'll handle outreach. We'll gather support from the community. Just give us the chance. As they continued discussing ideas, Amir thought of all the kids he'd met, and it all made sense. This wasn't just a project, this was a family. But just as hope began to swell, one elder raised a hand gently. There's one element we haven't discussed. The words hung in the air, suspended, heavy with possibility. The room quieted, and Amir's heart raced again, excitement battling with a flicker of dread. What new challenges awaited them? What unseen obstacles might stand in the way of their newfound hope? Would they be ready to face whatever was coming next? All right, tell us, Amir said, breathless with anticipation. The elder cleared her throat, and suddenly, the weight of uncertainty crashed back down on them all. Amir, the elder said slowly, her voice lowering as if the weight of her words required more gravity. There's something we need to address. The funding requests, they will not be easy to obtain. Many in the community are skeptical about how funds are being used. In light of rising costs and tightening budgets, we may encounter opposition. Amir's heart sank. He felt that glimmer of hope dimming, shadows creeping back into the edges of the room. But we're not asking for much, he said, desperation creeping into his voice. Just enough to keep this place open, to help the kids. Ms. Patel nodded, her expression still kind but firm. We understand, truly. But we also have to manage expectations. Some community members may view it differently. They may feel the center is not a priority. Tasha frowned, her hand tightening around Amir's. This center means everything to so many, she said urgently. We can show them how much the kids benefit. We just need to gather stories, testimonies from the families who utilize the programs. Mr. Lin chimed in, that's a good point, Tasha. If we share real stories of impact, it may soften the skepticism some might have. The community can rally behind actual evidence, the stories of lives changed. Amir took a deep breath, feeling the tide of challenge pressing down on him. Okay, he said, that makes sense. But what if it doesn't work? What if they still don't care? What if? Tasha interrupted gently, we can't think like that. We're creating something powerful here. It's worth fighting for. Amir, we have to believe. He glanced around the table at the elders. Each face held a mix of concern and hope. They were his allies in this, but doubt continued to gnaw at him. The challenges unraveled before him like a tangled ball of string, and with each day, the heaviness of what they had to accomplish bore down like an anchor dragging him under. What if we hold a community event? Amir suggested, a flicker of inspiration igniting within him. We could invite people, share meals, tell stories, connect. Give them a chance to see what we do and who we are. Ms. Patel's eyebrows lifted with interest. A community event could definitely bridge some gaps. It would also emphasize family involvement, show that we stand together. Amir felt hopeful but frightened. And what if they don't come? What if no one cares? Tasha leaned closer. Then we'll make them care, she said steadfastly. Let us share the heart behind it. The conversation turned to logistics, potential dates, who could organize what, and slowly but surely the mission felt tangible once more. They exchanged ideas, and though the room still seemed charged with anxiety, threads of determination began to weave a strong fabric of unity. As the meeting drew to a close, Amir looked around at the faces infused with purpose. They were in this together. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but at least it was one they were ready to walk. Yet as they began to stand and gather their things, a new voice one Amir had not recognized spoke from the back of the room. Excuse me, but I have a question about potential sponsors for your project. The room turned toward the newcomer, a chill racing through the air. Who was this person? Did they come with answers, or more questions? Amir's heart raced as the unknown stretched in front of them like the onset of a storm. What would this individual bring with them? Would they be a lifeline, or another barrier to cross? The answer hung in the silence, leaving Amir wondering what lay ahead. Amir's breath caught in his throat as the man stepped forward. He was tall, dressed in a casual but sharp suit, and carried an air of confidence that seemed almost too grand for their little center. A hint of concern washed over Amir as the stranger smiled at the group, although Amir couldn't shake the feeling of unease that tightened his stomach. Sorry to interrupt, the stranger said, his voice warm yet authoritative. I'm Jacob, and I've been following the community projects closely. I heard about your need for funding, and I think there might be an opportunity here. Amir exchanged glances with Tasha and the others, silently asking if anyone knew him. No one did. Opportunity? Amir responded, trying to keep his tone steady. What do you mean? I work with several local businesses, Jacob explained, his hands gesturing animatedly. They're looking to engage with the community more, and I think if you can show them the impact your center has, there's a chance some could become sponsors. Hope flickered in Amir's chest momentarily, like the first lights of dawn after a long, dark night. But skepticism clung tightly to him. And why do you care, Jacob? What's in it for you? Jacob's expression softened at the question. Honestly? I grew up in a neighborhood like this. I know what it's like for programs to disappear when they are needed the most. It's not just business, it's personal. Amir felt the energy shift in the room. Their superficial doubts melted slightly, replaced by intrigue. So, what do we have to do? Tasha asked, her voice steady, filled with the urgency of their mission. The event you mentioned earlier, it's the perfect start, Jacob replied. Gather those stories you talked about, showcase the kids, their achievements. If they can see the heart behind your work, they're far more likely to be generous. I can help organize a meeting with potential sponsors. But it'll take effort from all of you. Then let us do it. Amir said, the determination in his voice surprising even himself. They had faced down shadows before, and this time felt different. Determination rippled through the gathering. They outlined plans to engage with families and capture their stories, using every moment available until the event. They committed to reconnecting with the community, listening to their concerns, while also bringing to life the vibrant possibilities the center represented. But as the excitement built, a darker thought prodded at Amir's mind. How sure could they be that they'd find support in this unpredictable climate? As plans solidified and enthusiasm ignited, Amir noticed something. Jacob was still here, watching them with a thoughtful expression. Was it genuine passion? Or was he merely charting a path for his own gain? When they wrapped up the meeting, Amir approached Jacob hesitantly. Can you really help us? I need to believe we're not setting ourselves up for a fall. Jacob met his eyes with an intensity that stopped Amir in his tracks. You have to believe in what you're fighting for, Amir. Everything else will follow. His words hung heavily in the air, they felt like layers of possibility pressing down on Amir. The question unfolded in his mind, growing louder with each tick of his heart. What if all this hope turned into another disappointment? As Amir pondered this, Tasha joined them, nudging his arm gently and whispering, "We're in this together. No matter what." But in the pit of his stomach, doubt lingered like a stubborn shadow. Would this effort lead to real change? Or would it just deepen their disappointment? The night grew darker outside, and with it, a sense of urgency enveloped Amir. The path ahead was finally seeming lit, but how long would it last before darkness fell again? He glanced at Jacob, who was now engaging with Tasha with a soft smile. A knot tightened in Amir's chest. Was this trust misplaced? As they scattered into the night, Amir couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere, just out of sight, something major was about to shift. And he needed to be ready. The question clung to him, were they truly on the brink of hope, or just one more step into despair? The following day, the energy was different. The morning light slanted through the windows of the community center, illuminating the faces of those gathered for what felt like a new beginning. They were energized, buzzing with possibilities. Amir scrolled through his notes, the scribbles of ideas and plans swirling in his mind like a storm. We need to nail down our stories, he said to the group, his voice steady and purposeful. Real lives, real changes. This isn't just about funds. It's about showing them the heart of this community. Tasha, sitting cross-legged on the floor with a notepad, nodded eagerly. What if we included video testimonials? The kids can share what this place means to them. It can't just be facts, it has to be emotional. Great idea. Amir smiled, a flicker of hope lighting in his chest. Maybe this could work. Maybe they could inspire sponsorship. Yet, as ideas flowed, so did his worries. What if they couldn't showcase those stories effectively? What if, despite their efforts, it fell flat? Amir felt the tension creeping back, but he shook it off. He couldn't lead with fear. Let us divide the tasks. We need to talk to families, gather stories, and create a way for them to feel heard. The group agreed, and excitement filled the air with laughter and chatter. They were determined. Each conversation, every story was a step toward their goal. Amir felt the weight lift slightly from his shoulders. Together, they could face whatever came next. Later, as they broke into small teams, Amir found himself paired with Tasha and Malik. They headed out to visit homes within the community. The streets were alive with sounds: children laughing, music playing, the smell of morning coffee wafting from nearby cafes. After visiting a few families, the trio found themselves sitting on the porch of Mrs. Lewis, an elderly woman who had dedicated much of her life to nurturing the children in the neighborhood. She welcomed them with a warm smile, her laughter infectious as she plied them with fresh-baked cookies. Amir watched her as she spoke, her voice tinged with both pride and sadness. The center saved many of these kids, she said, her eyes twinkling with memories. They need a place to grow and learn. Without it, they would be lost. Tasha took notes, but her eyes were locked on Amir, showing the power of Mrs. Lewis's words. Amir felt the spark of inspiration crackling amongst them. This wasn't just about funding. It was about the lives they were transforming. As they left Mrs. Lewis's house, Amir's heart swelled with purpose. They were gathering more than just stories, they were collecting pieces of hope. If we can show this to Jacob and the sponsors, they'll see the worth in us, he said, filled with a newfound determination. But as they walked back, Amir's mind strayed back to Jacob. Where was he really leading them? Could they trust him? Would he stick around when the promises rolled in? That evening at the center, they began to piece together the stories they collected. Amir watched as kids shared their dreams: athletes, artists, doctors. Each story was a thread weaving them closer to a tapestry of hope. Yet, the questions inside him wouldn't settle. What happened if Jacob didn't come through? What if all this effort ended in disappointment? Just then, Jacob walked through the door, casually late as usual. He noticed the charged atmosphere and approached Amir, his expression earnest. "Looks like you've been busy. I'm excited to hear what you have." Amir felt a rush of uncertainty. Could they afford to trust him? As Jacob leaned over their notes, Amir confronted a looming possibility. What if Jacob held the key to their future, or was he merely a distraction from deeper issues at play? With the evening growing darker, Amir felt the weight of potential shift in the air, the very fabric of hope tinged with peril. As he looked into Jacob's eyes, Amir realized he had a choice to make. Were they truly on the edge of a breakthrough, or was this just another setup for heartache? The question lingered, and Amir knew that soon enough, the answer would demand to be faced. The tension in the room crackled as Jacob's presence loomed over the group. Amir exchanged glances with Tasha and Malik, both of whom wore expressions that mirrored his own mix of anticipation and apprehension. "Alright, so what's the plan?" Jacob prompted, his voice steady but casual. It felt almost dissonant against the weight they were carrying, the weight of the stories and dreams they had gathered. Amir cleared his throat. "We've been collecting testimonials from families. It's about showcasing the heart of our community, how the center changes lives." His voice was firm, breaking through the cloud of uncertainty. "The heart, huh?" Jacob chuckled lightly, though Amir didn't see the humor. "Sounds good. You have something to show me?" Tasha stepped up, her notes ready. "We've got a few videos recorded already, kids talking about their hopes and dreams, people like Mrs. Lewis sharing what this place means to them." "Let us start with Mrs. Lewis then. I've been hearing about her efforts." Jacob's eyes were sharp, absorbing every detail, his curiosity seemingly genuine. As Malik fumbled with the video equipment, Amir could feel his heart racing. This was at the moment that could change everything. The screen flickered to life, and as Mrs. Lewis's warm, wise voice flowed out, smiles spread across faces. "It's about nurturing dreams," she said, her words wrapping around everyone like a comforting blanket. "These kids need a place to grow. Without it, they would be lost." Murmurs of understanding washed over the room, but Amir couldn't shake the nagging doubts in the back of his mind. Would Jacob see that? Would it matter to him? When the video ended, silence hung heavily. Jacob leaned back, deep in thought, and everyone waited. Finally, he broke the silence. "This is great," he said carefully. "But it's emotional appeal. What's your strategy for the finances?" A collective gasp of disbelief rippled through the group. Amir felt his heart sink as if the air had been knocked out of him. They had poured their effort into capturing the essence of their community, and all Jacob could see were dollar signs. "We're building a connection," Tasha interjected. "It's not just a pitch, it's about real people and change. Funds will come once they believe in us." Jacob nodded, but Amir saw skepticism shadow his expression. "True enough," he said. "But investors want proof. You need data. Hard facts." Frustration bubbled within Amir, simmering just beneath the surface. They had fought to show the soul of the community, yet here was Jacob, wanting charts and numbers instead of stories filled with life. "We will get that," Amir said, determination fueling his voice. "But we also need to ensure the emotional connection. That's what makes our community unique." "Agreed," Malik added, trying to bridge the divide. "Without that, no one will want to invest in what we have." "Their heart matters," Amir insisted, his voice rising slightly. A heated discussion ensued, resonating with many in the room, but with every moment of tension, Amir felt a rift growing between hope and doubt. After the meeting broke, Amir found himself outside, drawing in deep breaths of cool evening air. He thought of Mrs. Lewis, of the kids' dreams. He thought of everything they were fighting for, not just funding, but a future. As the stars began to dot the sky, Amir was joined by Tasha and Malik. "What do we do now?" Tasha asked, her brow furrowed with concern. "Keep pushing," Amir replied, a fierce resolve hardening within him. "We need to prove that we are more than numbers. We will gather what Jacob wants, but we can't let go of the heart." "Right," Malik said, a spark of determination shining in his eyes, yet as they strategized, another fear loomed over Amir. What if Jacob's influence was deeper than he realized? What if he had the power to dismantle everything they were building? The night felt heavy with uncertainty, the path ahead unclear. As they made their way back inside the center, Amir's grip tightened on the hope they had ignited in the faces of their community. But the shadows of doubt began to inch closer. With every step he took, he wondered, would Jacob see the importance of their fight, or would he gamble their dreams away for profit? Amir knew the answers were coming, and time was running short. As the days ticked down to the fundraiser, the pressure mounted. The energy was electric at the community center, but shadows of doubt loomed large. Amir, Tasha, and the rest were racing against time, gathering stories and building connections. Excitement festered, but so did fear. Would this all culminate into something real? Or was everything dangling on a string, just waiting to snap? Amir closed his eyes, standing in the center of the still, quiet room. Malik's laughter echoed down the hall, a small comfort in the chaos. That laughter was his anchor, a reminder of everything worth fighting for. He felt Tasha's hand on his shoulder, grounding him. "Amir, we've got this," she said, her confidence alight in the dark. "Right. We just need to harness that energy," he replied, determination replacing anxiety in his gut. With every encounter, every story shared, they painted a vivid picture of hope. Instead of focusing solely on their needs, they highlighted the heart and resilience of their community. The night of the fundraiser finally arrived, and anticipation filled the air. The center transformed into a vibrant festival. Colorful banners hung, delicious food sizzled on grills, and laughter burst forth in joyous waves. Kids played games, their smiles brightening the evening. A warmth radiated around them, hugging everyone close in a shared sense of purpose. Amir stood at the entrance, watching as the community came together. Tasha flanked him, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Look at this turnout!" she exclaimed, clapping her hands in delight. He nodded, a deep breath grounding him. "Tonight is for us," he said, determination swelling in his chest. As the sun set, casting a golden hue over the event, guests started to gather. Every face brought memories, stories, and dreams. The air buzzed with exhilaration. Eventually, Amir took the stage. The murmurs quieted as he emerged into the spotlight. He felt a wave of vulnerability crash over him, but it subsided as he gazed at his community. They believed in this vision. "Thank you for being here," Amir began, his voice steady and filled with emotion. "We all know how vital the youth center is, how it shapes lives and dreams. But it's not just about funds. It's about who we are together." He paused, catching the glimmers of hope shining back at him. "Each of you has a story that matters. Tonight, we showcase the heart that beats within our community." With every word, he began to share the stories soaked in truth and feeling. Mrs. Lewis spoke of nurturing hope, while kids shared their dreams, illuminating the stage with vibrant energy. Her words wrapped around everyone like a blanket. They laughed, they cried, and Amir felt every ripple of their shared journey. When the speeches ended, the room filled with applause, hearty and warm, a crescendo of unity. Amir's nerves dissolved, replaced by an overwhelming sense of belonging. As Tasha joined him, they craved that connection, the heart they both championed. Then, amid all the joy, a familiar figure stepped forward: Jacob. He was poised and confident, but Amir felt the weight of uncertainty. Had it all been an act? The man approached the podium with an ease that made Amir's gut twist. "What I've seen tonight is incredible," Jacob began, his tone smooth and collected. "This community is built on strength and resilience. But we also know that resources matter. I've made a few calls, and I'm excited to announce that several businesses stand ready to invest, but only if we provide the data, the stories, and the heart, more importantly. Concern danced in Amir's heart. Would Jacob's intentions align with theirs? But as Jacob continued, he offered a blend of critique and genuine support, calling for transparency to ensure trust. Together, we'll create something sustainable that won't only survive but thrive. Amir felt the stirrings of hope rise again. Perhaps Jacob was offering a hand, wanting something more than profits. He turned to Tasha, who stood wide-eyed, absorbing every word. "Let us take him up on it," she whispered, determination echoing in her voice. "Are you sure?" Amir questioned, uncertainty flitting in his mind. "Yes. Together, we build not just for profit, but for the lives that matter." Tasha's faith strengthened his resolve. They had everything to gain, and despite their doubts, the promise of transformation hung in the air, becoming a solid beacon. As the crowd began to celebrate, something shifted. The community roared with a sense of possibilities. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore, they were fighting for better lives, for brighter tomorrows. With newfound determination, Amir took Tasha's hand and squeezed. They walked towards Jacob together, ready to explore an alliance that could tear down the walls of doubt. As they entered the future blind together, they did so not just as individuals but as part of a community bursting with dreams, love, and endless possibilities. This was a new beginning. A promise of hope actively forged from a tapestry of connections, with every bright-eyed smile showing that this fight was for them all. This was not merely an end. It was a transition, a testimony of resilience. Tasha dared to ask, and Amir learned to trust not just in others, but in themselves. And tomorrow? Tomorrow held the promise of every heart that believed in them. They had embarked on this journey together, newfound dreams merging into reality. And now more than ever, they were ready to embrace whatever came next, because they learned that hope thrived on connection, and together, they would create lasting change. If you felt this journey, if you want to witness more transformations like Amir and Tasha's, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. This is the moment to show your support. And hey, don't forget to leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It really helps us reach more hearts. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this impactful story, and please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. It's time to spread the love. Don't wait not even one more second to support our stories. Your voice matters. Let us keep building this community together.